Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin, Liber Primus, chapter 14. This is exercise A. We are to decline the following noun-adjective pairs in Latin, starting with puella diligens. When you do this, it may help you to decline first the noun and then the adjective separately. But you should work towards progressing until you can do by case. You want to always work towards by case, so puella diligens, puellae diligentis, puellae diligenti, etc., going that way, because that's how you will see it in a text. But if it helps you at first to decline the noun, puella, as a first declension feminine noun, and then diligens as you'll have to look it up in a dictionary, it's one of your vocab words, diligens, genitive diligentis. It is a third declension adjective, one termination, in that diligens is its nominative masculine, feminine, or neuter. All three genders share the same nominative. That's why it's called a one termination. Now, because it agrees with the noun puella, its nominative will be diligens, because that's all it has. But its declension will be a third declension feminine, because puella is feminine. It's a third declension adjective, diligens, goes here, but has to follow the third declension feminine track. So it will have endings like blank, is, I stem, letter I. All third declension adjectives have the ablative singular letter I. And then it will have es, eum, I stem, eum, ibus, es, ibus, third declension feminine. So go ahead and decline puella first. Puella, and it's a puella I feminine first declension noun. Puellae, puellae, puellam, puella, puellae, puellarum, puellis, puellas, puellis. So first declension, I, macron, I, arum, is, us, is. Now, diligens, you have to know the genitive of a one termination third declension adjective. Diligens, diligentis, because it is from the genitive diligentis, you get the stem, like any third declension really. So diligentis, chop off the is, diligent, like the English diligent. And then you can put diligent in each one of the blanks. And then go ahead and add third declension feminine, but I stem variety, because all third declension adjectives have I stem endings, including, no matter the gender, the ablative singular ending in the letter I, pronounced E. So diligens, diligentis, diligenti, diligentem, diligente, diligenti, diligentes, diligentium, diligentibus, diligentes, diligentibus. Altogether, you should work towards being able to decline this noun-adjective pair this way, like puella diligens, puellae diligentis, puellae diligenti, puellam diligentem, puella diligenti, puellae diligentes, puellarum diligentium, puellis diligentibus, puellas diligentes, puellis diligentibus. Remember that adjectives must agree with the nouns they modify in gender, in number, and in case. They do not have to agree in declension. Puella is always a first declension noun. Diligens is always a third declension adjective. Optime. Flumen cellere, a swift river. So flumen, the noun goes here and the plural here, and the adjective cellere goes here and the plural here. From celler, celleris, cellere. So flumen, fluminous, neuter. It's a third declension neuter, not an I stem. Then the adjective celler, celleris, cellere. So you can tell by its endings, celler, er, then the feminine celleris, is, and then the neuter cellere, with an e, letter e, pronounced e, that celler, celleris, cellere is a third declension adjective, 3 terminations, because it has one separate nominative ending, or nominative form rather, for the masculine celler, for the feminine celleris, and for the neuter cellere. So 3 separate forms. It's a third, 3 termination. Because it's a third declension adjective, it will follow third declension endings. So a swift river. Going to agree with flumen, fluminous, neuter. Therefore, it's going to, celler, must have neuter endings. So flumen, fluminous, the stem is flumen, and you can write flumen for all the rest of the blanks of the noun. And then add third declension neuter endings. Blank, is, e, same as the nominative, a, letter e, a, because it's not an I stem. A, ibus, a, ibus. Flumen, fluminous, flumini, flumen. Then flumine with the letter e. Flumina, letter a, flumina. Fluminum, fluminibus, flumina, fluminibus. Now, cellere, from celler, celleris, cellere, we chose the neuter cellere to agree with the neuter flumen. So cellere, you get the stem of a third declension adjective, 3 termination, by chopping off either the is of the feminine nominative or the e, the a, of the neuter nominative, the letter e right here, pronounced a. Chop it off. The stem is celler. So you write cellere right here in the nominative because it's right there. And then you can write celler for the rest of the forms. You got to put the stem down first. The stem is unchanging. The stem does not get changed. It goes in each blank. It forms the base, the root. Now we're going to add third declension adjective I stem endings, because all third declension adjectives have I stem endings. So blank, it's already cellere, is, e, same as the nominative, so cellere, e, it's the letter I, pronounced e, celleri, because it's an I stem. The adjectives in third declension are all I stems. Even though flumen, the noun, is not an I stem, all third declension adjectives are I stem, no matter the gender. Caleria, ia, ia, because it's an I stem. All third declension adjectives are I stem. Eum, ibus, ia, ibus. And you should get cellere, celleris, celleri, cellere, like the nominative, and then celleri, ending in the letter I. Then caleria, ia, ia, calerium, eum, caleribus, caleria, like its nominative, and then caleribus. All together, you get flumen, cellere, fluminous, celleris, flumini, celleri, flumen, cellere, flumine, celleri. Flumina, celleria, fluminum, cellerium, fluminibus, celleribus, flumina, celleria, fluminibus, celleribus. Optime. Amicus audax, a daring friend, a bold or audacious friend. So amicus, a second declension, because it's amicus amicus amici, so second declension masculine noun, and then audax. Audax is a third declension adjective. It is a one termination third declension adjective, like potens or diligens. You have to know the genitive of these. So audax, the genitive is audacis, because you got to get the stem from the genitive. You chop off the is and get audac. Now, audax, because it is a one termination, its nominative is the same across all genders. And that's why audax agrees with amicus. No matter the gender, if the noun were feminine or neuter, it would still be audax. Now, when we decline the adjective audax, it will follow, because it's third declension, either a masculine feminine track or a neuter track. Because remember, some endings are different in the neuter. So amicus, we'll start there. That's easy. It's amicus, that's the nominative. Amici, ending in the letter I. So because it ends in the letter I, pronounced E, we know it's a second declension and a masculine, second declension masculine noun. So us, E, O, E, letter I, E, orum, is, os, is. So amicus, amici, the stem is amic. You write amic in all the blanks and then add those endings. Amicus, amici, amico, amicum, amico. Amici, amicorum, amicis, amicos, amicis. Now the nominative singular adjective, we have audax. It's a one termination, so it's audax. You have to know the genitive, audacis. Chop off the is, the stem is audac, and you can write audac, like the English audacious, in each one of the blanks. Audac, 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 audac. Now because it is a third declension adjective, it will have third declension endings. Yeah. Just like the second declension masculine amicus had, wait for it, second declension masculine endings. Wow. So audax, blank, is, E, M, E, letter I, because all third declension adjectives are I stem. Es, eum, I stem eum, ibus, es, ibus. You have to use third declension masculine, because the noun amicus is masculine endings. So you get audax, audacis, audaci, audacem, audaci. Audaces, audacium, audacibus, audaces, audacibus. All together, strive to go like this. Amicus audax, amici audacis, amico audaci, amicum audacem, amico audaci, amici audaces, amicorum audacium, amicis audacibus, amicos audaces, amicis audacibus. Optime. Iter breve, a short or brief journey. Think of an abbreviation, a rather long English word, which means to make breve shorter. So iter goes here. The genitive is itineris, and it's a third declension neuter noun. I know because the genitive ends in is, so it's a third declension, and it's iter itineris neuter, like the English word itinerary. It means a route, as in a route. R-O-U-T-E, a journey or a march. It will go on this track, third declension neuter. It is not an I stem. We don't have to worry about that. But breve, brevis breve is the dictionary entry, brief or short. All third declension adjectives are I stem. And it must be neuter because its noun iter is neuter. So brawe goes here, from brauwis, brawe. If you look at that dictionary entry, brauwis, brawe, it is a third declension. It will have third declension endings to termination, where brauwis, that's going to be the masculine feminine, and then brawe, that's the neuter. So you chop off either the is of the masculine feminine form or this letter E pronounced A from the neuter form brawe. So iter, itineris, the stem will be itin, and you can go ahead and put itin, itiner. The stem is itiner after you take off the is. Go ahead and put it in all the blanks. And then brawe, you put brawe, chop off the letter E pronounced A. Brew is the stem, and you can go ahead and write brew in all the blanks. So iter and then itiner. Now because it's neuter, iter goes here because it's got to be the same as the nominative. Iter, itineris, itineri, iter, itinere. Letter E, because it's not an I stem. Itinera, itinerum, itineribus, itinera, itineribus. Nice. Now brawe. You have brawe, and its genitive is brewis. Then brewi. Its accusative must be the same as the nominative, brawe. And then I stem brewi, ends in the letter I. Then the plural brewia. Then brewium, brewibus, brewia, brewibus. Altogether you get iter brewe, itineris brewis, itineri brewi, iter brewe, itinere brewi, itinera brewia, itinerum brevium, itineribus brevibus, itinera brevia, itineribus brevibus. Optime. Very well done. Puer fortis, a brave boy. Ah, brave boy. We have the noun puer, from puer, pueri, masculine boy. Because the genitive ends in the letter I, pronounced E, pueri, we know it is a second declension, and it's a second declension masculine. Fortis comes from fortis forte, which means brave or strong, like fortitude or fort, fortification. And this is the masculine feminine form, fortis. The neuter would be forte, like we just had the neuter brewe from brewis brewe. This is a third declension. It'll have third declension endings. To termination. To termination, that fortis is the masculine feminine, and then forte, that is the neuter form. So we have puer. It's going to go on its noun track. So this track right here, and here's the plural. And then fortis, that's going to go along its track right here, and then here's the plural. So we'll start with puer. Puer is going to be the nominative puer, and then the genitive is pueri. Now you take the genitive, and then from the genitive, you chop off the letter I. That gets the stem puer. You can write puer in the rest of the blanks. And then add second declension masculine endings. We already have the nominative puer, and then E, O, O, and then E, orum, is, os, is. So puer, pueri, puero, puerum, puero, pueri, puerorum, pueris, pueros, pueris. Now fortis, that's going to follow its track of masculine. So third declension masculine, blank, is, e, am, I stem, letter I, pronounce E. Es, ium, ibus, es, ibus. You're going to get fortis, fortis, forti, fortem, forti. Fortes, fortium, fortibus, fortes, fortibus. Altogether, puer fortis, pueri fortis, puero forti, puerum fortem, puero forti, pueri fortes, puerorum fortium, pueris fortibus, pueros fortes, pueris fortibus. Optime, very well done. A femina potens, a powerful woman. So we have the noun femina, going to go right here in these blanks. Here's the plural. Potens, the adjective, powerful. Potens, potentis, that is a third declension, one termination, where potens is the nominative for the masculine, the feminine, and the neuter. Now the neuter will follow its own third declension neuter track, while the masculine feminine will follow the masculine feminine track. So we'll start with the noun femina. We have femina, I, feminine as the dictionary entry. So it's going to be, because of the genitive singular ending in AE pronounced I, going to be the first declension feminine. So you chop off the AE pronounced I of the genitive singular, femina, feminae, the stem femin in the rest of the nouns blanks. First declension, I, make round letter A, I, is, as, is. So femina, feminae, feminae, feminam, femina. Feminae, feminarum, feminis, feminas, feminis. Now potens, you must know the genitive of a third declension, one termination adjective, and this one is potentis. That's where you get the stem. Chopping off the genitive singular is ending, because it's a third declension, you get the stem potent, like the English word potent, and you add potent to the rest of the blanks, and then third declension feminine endings, blank, is, I stem, E, as in the letter I, pronounce E, es, ium, ibus, es, ibus, to get femina potens, feminae potentis, feminae potenti, feminam potentem, femina potenti, feminae potentes, feminarum potentium, feminis potentibus, feminas potentes, feminis potentibus. Optime. Very well done. Excellent. That concludes exercise A. You are now ready to move on to exercise B. Volete omnes.